Rabbi, we're live.
Great. Let's go. Ready?
There's like... You guys start.
Chag Sameach, everyone.
Chag Sameach. Do you want sunglasses?
Maybe.
Wow.
I don't have a kippah. Fiona Cohen's bat mitzvah.
Welcome, welcome, everyone. We, although it is Friday evening, we are not officially beginning Shabbat
Because
yet.
as you may have noticed, the sun has not set as it radiates gloriously upon the beautiful angelic face of Rabbi Benj.
And the fact that I'm blinded now is a
Blinded
reminder
by the light.
that we are still in the midst of a holiday, and we are going to take advantage of that to invent this new ritual that we have come up with, a Shavuot Seder.
A Shavuot Seder. So I'll just share a brief word because a few people were like, Rabbi, what are you doing? And what we are doing is, when we have had events on Shavuot evening, Erev Shavuot, all two people have come, other than the Shavuot Spectacular, which was a giant festivus for the rest of us. And then all the people came. But unless we're throwing a gala on Shavuot, we really have not had a successful Erev Shavuot. It's just the nature of our congregation. And so, going to the spirit of the rabbis, the rabbi said we should read Torah on Mondays and Thursdays and Saturdays. Can anyone tell me why? Fun Jewish pop quiz moment. Why did they say Mondays and Thursdays? Saturdays is obvious, that's Shabbat. But why did they pick Mondays and Thursdays? Nancy Marcus. Good job, Nancy. So my mom has the answer. She is the tree, I am the apple. The rabbi said we should read Torah on Mondays and Thursdays because those were the market days in Jerusalem. And so the rabbis knew if we were going to bring people to Jewish practice, you had to meet the people where they were at. So really nothing has changed in Jewish practice in 2,000 years. And so instead of trying to push and utz and give people a hard time about why aren't you showing up, our people are here on Friday nights. And so we thought we'll bring the Jewish holiday to them in recognition that it did start last night, but we can still celebrate this afternoon of Shavuot, which is what we're doing. And, we lovingly refer to Shavuot as the redheaded stepchild of the Jewish holidays, because the tough thing about Shavuot is the ritual for it is to stay up really late into the night studying Torah, which works great if you're at Jewish summer camp or if you live in a little village, on a kibbutz, in a walled city. But it doesn't work great when you live in the suburbs and you have to schlep far home. How many people have to drive more than 5 minutes to get here? So staying up really, really late is not the best. And we know, there's not, good things don't happen on the roads really, really late at night. So also not everyone loves staying up really, really late studying Torah. A few of us do. I could study Torah all night long, like the best of them. But it's not everyone's favorite thing. And we thought, well, again, let's look to the rabbis for an example. And so we thought, what's better than a Seder? We love a Passover Seder. We love a Tu B'Shvat Seder. And as someone reminded me earlier today, in the Persian community, they do a Rosh Hashanah dinner Seder. And so we love a good Seder. And so we thought, let's invent a Shavuot Seder. And I have to hand it to Michelle and Rabbi Benj. They took what I said, Rabbi Benj gathered the materials, and Michelle created this whole Seder. So I'm giving her super duper, uber, Jewish star, kudos credit for creating this beautiful Seder tonight. And we got the band together. We have a band. And we have all of you who signed up for this wonderful experiment. So hopefully if it's fun, it'll just keep growing. And if you hate it, you don't ever have to come back. And we'll try something different next year. And you can see tomorrow morning, our Torah School Kabbalah Torah graduates will graduate, our 12th graders. They did their Costco shopping to refill our hand-up food pantry. And so we have already adorned, there's a custom in Israel that we follow, this old custom of Shavuot, that we adorn our bima and our ark with flowers. And we thought rather than flowers, we should adorn it with offerings like we would bring up to the temple in Jerusalem. And so we bring it with offerings for our hand-up food pantry, for a summer restock for our families and our neighbors who are in need. And so we're really grateful for that. And so that's what is adorning our bima tonight. If you are a friend of Bill or underage, the things that are in front of you are yummy things that you'll get to sip throughout the Seder. They are alcoholic. If you are a friend of Bill or underage, we have non-alcoholic options over on the side, so we'll encourage you to collect those for yourself for the drink options. And so come in, grab a seat, grab a siddur, and
we're going to begin on page 2.
And before we begin tonight, we're going to light our Shabbat candles at the end. But before we come into this space of acknowledging and celebrating this festival, we're going to begin with the lighting of, as we do every time there's a horrific shooting, with acknowledging the names and the terrible tragedy that happened in San Diego this week. We know that those souls that were lost to radicalization online, that they hated so many people, and that they happened to find the mosque before they found Kavod or any synagogue. And it could have been any one of a number of groups, and that 3 souls lost their lives. And so we acknowledge them. We know that the actions of the 3 men gave the school time to go into lockdown and gave those children time to be safe and for their educators to keep them safe. And it was a horrific tragedy. And so we mourn the loss of any life, especially at the hands of terrorists and extremists, which those 2 boys made themselves. May our world do better. And so tonight we begin with the remembrance of Mansour Kaziha, of Amin Abdullah, and Nadir Awad. May their memories be a blessing, and may humanity move itself towards a world committed to peace and actual tolerance and brotherhood between all people. And so we turn to our Seder as we celebrate this festival of Shavuot. On page 2. Tonight we gather around tables as our ancestors gathered around harvests, around stories, and eventually around Mount Sinai. Let's read together. Shavuot invites us to remember 3 things: the first fruits of the land, the giving of Torah, our ongoing covenant as a community. Like Passover, we will tell a story. Passover moves us from slavery to freedom. Shavuot moves us from freedom to sacred covenant. This evening we recall our 3 festivals: Passover, liberation; Shavuot, harvest and revelation; Sukkot, gratitude and impermanence. Together we will taste, sing, study, and remember. Let us begin with song.
Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Olam Olam Amen. Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim.
turn to page 3 and we will recite our festival Kiddush. Can someone go to the kitchen and ask for a Kiddush glass with wine? I know, we've gotten all sorts of other goodies tonight. We neglected the wine. But you can also eat the grapes after we say the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol am, v'romamanu mikol lashon, v'kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'titen lanu, Adonai Eloheinu b'ahava, moadim lesimcha, chagim uzmanim lasason, et yom chag hashavuot hazeh, Zman matan Toratenu mikra kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim v'moadei kodshecha, besimcha uv'sason hinachaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh Yisrael v'hazmani.
Amen. So go ahead and grab a grape from your Lazy Susan.
Thank you, L'chaim. L'chaim.
And enjoy the fruit of the vine.
L'chaim. L'chaim. I don't think I can drink some on antibiotics. Preston. Yeah, with Kiddush wine, so go for it.
And on page 4, we will recite the blessing for the study of Torah as we begin in earnest our Seder.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has sanctified us through your commandments and commanded us to engage in words of Torah.
Sweet as honey,
Sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongues. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongues. Baruch atah Adonai, Ashereinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah, la'asok b'divrei Torah. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongues. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongues.
The Torah is compared to honey.
may learning be sweet upon our tongues.
Long before Shavuot commemorated receiving Torah at Sinai, it marked the wheat harvest, the bringing of first fruits, the first tastes of summer. So we're going to go through our 3 regalim, and we have tastings that we're going to do as we read the texts. And let's go to the bottom. Freedom without purpose is incomplete.
The Shalosh Regalim, just so everyone knows what they are, the 3 pilgrimage festivals. Passover was the
Barley
Barley
harvest.
harvest.
Shavuot is the
Wheat harvest.
and Sukkot is the.
Winter wheat and grapes harvest.
All right, keep going.
Freedom without purpose is incomplete.
Harvest without gratitude is incomplete.
Learning without action is incomplete.
May we connect blessing with responsibility.
Exodus establishes Nisan as the first month, and this creates sacred time. God said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, "This month shall mark for you the beginning of months. It shall be the first of the months of the year to you. Speak to the whole community of Israel and say that on the 10th of this month each family shall take for itself a lamb to a household. But if the household is too small for a lamb, let it share one with a neighbor who dwells nearby. In proportion to the number of persons, you shall contribute for the lamb according to what each household will eat. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a young yearling lamb, male. You may take it from the sheep or from the goats. You shall keep watch over it until the 14th day of the month, and all the assembled congregation of the Israelites shall slaughter it at twilight. They shall take some of its blood and put it on the 2 doorposts of the lintel of the houses in which they are to eat it. They shall eat the flesh the same night. They shall eat it roasted over the fire with unleavened bread and with bitter herbs. Do not eat any of it raw or cooked in any way with water, but roasted, head, legs, and entrails over the fire. You shall not leave any of it over until morning. If any of it is left until morning, you shall burn it. This is how you shall eat it: your loins girded, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. You shall eat it hurriedly. It is a Passover offering to God. For that night I will go through the land of Egypt and strike down every male firstborn in the land of Egypt, both human and animal, and I will mete out punishments to all the gods of Egypt. I, the Eternal, am your God." And remember, Passover remembers liberation. Its earliest agricultural meanings are centered on barley, among the first grains harvested.
Before we do this blessing, Rabbi, I've had a number of texts from people watching online who are asking how to view the Haggadah virtually. And if you go to the description box of the YouTube video, and somebody said, how do I access that? And I said, it's hard to describe, but basically when you clicked on this video, there is a description underneath the video, and if you click more, it will display a link, and you can just click on that link and scroll down past the place where they want you to download Dropbox. That's just an ad. Keep scrolling, and the entire Haggadah will be right there.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. So we're going to do our first tasting, but before we do our tasting, we will say the blessing for the consumption of any assortment of foods on page 7.
And the thing that we'll be drinking is, because what better way to celebrate barley than beer? And for those of us who are friends of Bill, just not fans of beer or alcoholic beer, and underage, we also have barley tea, because barley tea is wonderful. And so you have 2 different choices. The barley tea is over here on the side, and there's also non-alcoholic beer. I'm not sure which is which, but Linda will know, and Linda will tell us. And so we're going to say,
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei minei mizonot.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, creator of various kinds of nourishment.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
I will go get us.
I still can't. I'm on antibiotics. Give it to Preston or Charlie.
Preston, it's all you.
I'll drink a sip of my tea.
Oh, that is bitter.
I think it's an IPA. I think it's a Stone IPA. Some people are very happy and some people are going, ooh.
Let's continue with our reading from Leviticus on page 8 on Shavuot, our second festival.
And from the day on which you bring the sheaf of elevation offering, The day after the Sabbath you shall count off 7 weeks. They must be complete, and you must count until the day after the 7th week, 50 days. Then you shall bring an offering of new grain to God. You shall bring from your settlements 2 loaves of bread as an elevation offering. Each shall be made of 2/10 of measure of choice flour, baked after leavening, as first fruits to God. With the bread you shall present as burnt offerings to God 7 yearling lambs without blemish, 1 bull of the herd, and 2 rams, with their grain offerings and libations, and offerings by fire of pleasing odor to God. You shall also offer 1 he-goat as a purgation offering and 2 yearling lambs as sacrifice of well-being. The priest shall elevate the 2 lambs, together with the bread of the first fruits, as an elevation offering before God. They shall be holy to God for the priest. On that same day you shall hold a celebration. It shall be a sacred occasion for you. You shall not work at your occupations. This is a law for all time in all of your settlements throughout all the ages. Counting 7 weeks from Passover leads to Shavuot. The wheat harvest arrives.
And with our wheat, we have a shot of
No, we have wheat crackers.
wheat crackers, as well as the shots of whiskey.
And wheatgrass for our non-alcoholic options. And so we say, L'chaim!
L'chaim!
And B'tavon. Torah also we say growth takes time, and Torah also requires cultivation. Oh my goodness, he still has to drive home tonight, right? Oh, you're just driving here? One of us will drive you home. Stop. You can spread it to Charlie, too.
Oh, that is strong.
Well, it's whiskey.
It was non-alcoholic.
Well, Passover has the 4 glasses of wine. Shavuot has the 3 shots, I guess.
And we come to Sukkot, our 3rd festival. We're on page 9. Page 9. God spoke to Moses, saying, "Say to the Israelite people."
I had to eat my wheat.
Oh, I didn't eat a wheat thin yet. Hang on, I gotta eat a wheat thin.
On the 15th day of the 7th month, there shall be a feast of booths to God, to last 7 days. The first day shall be a sacred occasion. You shall not work at your occupations. 7 days you shall bring offerings by fire to God. On the 8th day you shall observe a sacred occasion and bring an offering by fire to God. It is a solemn gathering. You shall not work at your occupations. Those are the set times of God that you shall celebrate as sacred occasions, bringing offerings by fire to God. Burnt offerings, grain offerings, sacrifices, and libations on each day, what is proper to it. Apart from the Sabbaths of God, and apart from your gifts, and from your votive offerings, and from your free will offerings that you will give to God. Mark, on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gathered in the yield of your land, you shall observe a festival of God to last 7 days, a complete rest on the first day, and a complete rest on the 8th day. On the first day you shall take the product of the hadar trees, branches of palm trees, boughs of leafy leaves, and willows of the brook, and you shall rejoice before the Eternal, your God, 7 days. You shall observe it as a festival of God for 7 days of the year. You shall observe it in the 7th month as a law for all time throughout the ages. You shall live in booths 7 days. All citizens of Israel shall live in booths, in order that future generations may know that I made the Israelite people live in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I, the Eternal, your God. All right, so in commemoration of the harvest of Sukkot, the ingathering, we have sweet potato chips for you, as well as pomegranate liqueur or pomegranate juice.
So Linda has the pomegranate juice, and in front of you, preset at your table was pomegranate liqueur. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Do we get to indulge when we're... Rabbi.
Oh, that is tasty.
Is it? I have to taste it later. Pomegranates symbolize abundance and mitzvot. From harvest to meaning, over time Judaism asked, were festivals only about crops or also about covenant? And the answer, of course, is both.
And we read this text from Deuteronomy, which is normally recited at the Passover Haggadah, but it is actually a text about Shavuot.
When you enter the land that the Eternal your God is giving you as a heritage, and you possess it and settle it, you shall take some of every first fruit of the soil, which you harvest from the land that the Eternal your God is giving you. Put it in a basket and go to the place where the Eternal your God will choose to establish the divine name. You shall go to the priest in charge at the time and say to him, I acknowledge this day before the Eternal your God that I have entered into the land that God swore to our fathers to assign us. The priest shall take the basket from your hand and set it down in front of the altar of the Eternal your God. You shall then recite as follows before the Eternal your God, and I'd like everyone to read with me. My father was a fugitive Aramean. He went down to Egypt with meager numbers and sojourned there. But there he became a great and very populous nation. The Egyptians dealt harshly with us and oppressed us. They imposed heavy labor upon us. We cried to the Eternal, the God of our ancestors, and the Eternal heard our plea and saw our plight, our misery, and our oppression. God freed us from Egypt with a mighty hand, by an outstretched arm and an awesome power, and by signs and portents, bringing us out of this place and giving us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. And so now I bring the first fruits of the soil that you, O Eternal One, have given to me. You shall leave the basket before the Eternal your God, and bow low before the Eternal your God. And so, bringing Bikurim, which are first fruits, becomes an act of memory. We remember slavery, and we remember our blessings.
And so, because we recited this with this recitation with which we brought the first fruits to the temple, I want to invite you to take some of the fruit from your lazy Susans and consume it.
Yes. Now, Rabbi Benj, how would they know which ones were the first fruits each season?
They mark them on the trees.
Yes, and how did they mark them?
They tied strings around them, right?
That's right. So every season when your tree would start to sprout and you would get your first fruits sprouting on your tree, the farmers would mark them with a red string. And so they would go out, and the first barley shoots that would come up, your first wheat shoots that would come up, your first whatever it was that you were growing, your pomegranates, your dates, your figs, your olives, you would tie on each tree a red string around it, and that was the fruit that was dedicated to God. And so when the festival came, you would pluck these fruits and you would put them into your basket and you would schlep them to your local temple. And then after the northern temple was destroyed and Josiah did his reformations with Deuteronomy, you schlepped them only to Jerusalem. And that's when you would recite this recitation. You would bring them, and that would be what you would bring. All right, and so on page 11, we're going to sing you some songs. Sing along while you snack.
Hayim hi lama chazikim ba v'tomchecha me'ushar deracheha darchei noam v'chol netivoteha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashu And for us, we not only harvest the first fruits, but Torah itself is our harvest.
Torah, Torah, Torah,
Torah, Torah, Torah, Torah, Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe.
Torah, Torah, Torah,
Torah, Torah, Torah, Torah, Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe.
Moses commanded us with the Torah, the heritage of the congregation of Jacob.
Now, the book of Ruth is intimately connected with the holiday of Shavuot. It is the Megillah that we read on this holiday for two reasons.
What's a Megillah?
It's a scroll.
A scroll. Okay. What's a scroll?
You know, it's like a book, but you don't turn pages. You just roll.
Oh, you just roll. You keep turning it and turning it. Okay.
Yeah.
Where do the scrolls come from? What part of the Torah are they?
They are in the Ketuvim. Can you guys say that? Ketuvim.
Ketuvim.
Ketuvim is the writings. It is the miscellaneous
The and other parts section.
of the Bible.
Yes. Okay, good.
And there's two reasons why we read Ruth on Shavuot. The first is, if you look in chapter 2 of the book of Ruth, it tells us about how Ruth met Boaz, the man who became her husband, and how Ruth had to glean in his fields. And at the beginning of chapter 2, she's gleaning during the barley harvest, which of course we saw is associated with Passover. And by the end of the chapter, it's already the wheat harvest. So we've gone from Passover to Shavuot.
It was a long season of seduction and gleaning in ancient Israel as the scroll turns.
Yes. And of course, the second reason is the statement of affiliation, love and support, and mutual fate that Ruth expresses to her mother-in-law Naomi, which the rabbis sometimes view as her being the first person to convert to Judaism and to become a Jew of her own free will.
Ruth is believed to be the first convert, the first woman to free choice accept the covenant of the people of Israel onto herself as a non-Israelite. And so after the destruction of the temple, when we were cast out of our land, we had a very serious problem. What was the serious problem facing us? How do you observe Judaism? How do you pray without a temple? And how do you observe our most important festivals when they were all tied to very specific agricultural seasons? How do you celebrate Passover when you can no longer farm or harvest barley? How do you celebrate Shavuot when you can no longer farm or harvest your summer wheat and the beginning of your summer fruits? And how do you celebrate Sukkot when you can no longer farm or harvest hard winter wheat or the beginning of your grape season and your pomegranate season and all of these things that were an essential interwoven component of ancient Israelite life? And so our proto-rabbis, our early priests and Jewish sages, they began to reinvent Judaism. And they said, oh, you thought Passover? We already see it happening in the Bible. They said, you thought Passover, we've talked about it here, was just about barley? No, it's actually celebrating slavery, our escape from slavery and liberation. You thought Passover was just about the summer, the wheat harvest? No, it's actually, that's when we received Torah from God at Sinai. You thought Passover was just about the hard wheat harvest?
Shavuot.
No, Sukkot was just about the winter wheat harvest. No. That was we celebrated. The instability of existence. Let's sit outside in a leaky roofed building and read existential philosophy and let it rain into our food and our soup and believe that we are blessed and fragile and mortal. It's the most emo holiday ever. And so we began layering on extra ways to observe and really completely reinventing Judaism. And this is a practice that evolved over hundreds of years. And the rabbis added more meaning and more meaning and more meaning, the priests and the sages. And so with Ruth, they said, oh, we received Torah. Guess who else received Torah willingly? Ruth. And so let's make her the hero of Shavuot. So we read the book of Ruth. And why do we eat milk and honey when so many of us are lactose intolerant?
We'll get to that in the
Okay,
next
we
section.
are. Yes, I'm jumping ahead. Okay.
But let us read together this most important section of the book of Ruth on page 12. But Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Turn back, each of you,
to her mother's house. May God deal kindly with you
As you have dealt with the dead
and with me. May God grant each of you find security in the house of a husband." And she kissed them farewell. They broke into weeping and said to her, "No, we will return with you to your people."
But
Naomi replied, "Turn back, my daughters. Why should you go with me? Have I any more sons in my body who might be husbands for you? Turn back, my daughters, for I am too old to be married. Even if I thought there was hope for me, even if I were married tonight and I also bore sons, should you wait for them to grow up? Should you, on account,
debar yourselves
from marriage? Oh no, my daughters, my lot is far more bitter than yours, for God's hand has struck out against me." They broke into weeping again, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law farewell, but Ruth clung to her. So she said, "See, your sister-in-law has returned to her people and her gods. Go, follow your sister-in-law." But Ruth replied, "Do not urge me to leave you, to turn back and not follow you. For wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. Thus and more
may God do to me, if
if
anything but death parts me
from
from you."
Torah cannot be inherited alone. Torah must also be chosen.
That quote always gets me a little misty.
Totally.
Page 13.
If you're out on the road, feeling lonely and so cold, all you have to do is call my name and I'll be there on the next train. Where you lead, I will follow anywhere that you tell me to. If you need me to be with you, I will follow. Oh, oh, oh. Where you lead, I will follow anywhere that you tell me to. If you need me to be with you, I will follow where you lead.
The best part, besides hearing Michelle sing that song, was seeing who's a fan of the Gilmore Girls in the room.
Yes.
I see you. I see you. Page 14.
And God said, Do not come closer. Remove your sandals from your feet, for the place on which you stand is holy ground. And continued, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. And God continued, I have marked well the plight of my people in Egypt, and have heeded their outcry because of their taskmasters. Yes, I am mindful of their sufferings. I have come down to rescue them from the Egyptians and to bring them out of that land to a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the region of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. And that is the reason for all of the dairy, because God has promised us to enter into the land flowing with milk and honey. Because all of this is so intimately tied with the land itself. We not only receive Torah at Mount Sinai, but that Torah gives us a mission to establish for ourselves a beautiful and a just and a fair society in the land that is our home.
The promise was never merely the land. The promise was relationship. Will we receive Torah again?
We will.
Will we choose covenant again?
We will.
Will learning become action?
May it be so.
And so, as we celebrate this land flowing with milk and honey that is an indelible part of our yesterday, our today, and our tomorrow, as we celebrate the gift of Torah that gives us our history and our charge for the future, as we celebrate the covenant that was placed on our hearts and given to us to share with all of the generations to come, and the obligation to be God's partners in making the world a kind and a loving place, and to understand what it is to be a covenanted people and to be a Jewish people, which is to be a part of this incredible, wacky, beautiful, zany, loving, and so unique, so special, giant family, which it really is. And unfortunately, sometimes, I think the sorrow of Judaism is that sometimes it takes things being terrible for us to understand that we are a family. And I wish we could recognize how much we are a family when times are easy and beautiful and we don't have Jew hatred in the world. But I'll take our family recognition whenever we can find it and wherever it comes. So there is blessing even in difficulty, and there is difficulty even in good times, and that's the truth of Jewish life. And that's what we celebrate at Shavuot. And so it's also, though, Shabbat, and you'll see that Rabbi Benj is no longer blinded by the light. And we have a beautiful Shabbat dinner for us all to enjoy together. But we have to celebrate Shabbat. And so we've celebrated Shavuot. We've hopefully learned a lot about Shavuot tonight. My last fun Shavuot tidbit that I'll share is that the land flowing with milk and honey, to understand, we co-evolved with goats and lamb and sheep, not with cows. And so we are lactose intolerant for the most part. And so it's not a land flowing with dairy milk, it's a land flowing with milk. It's the sap. Has anyone ever picked a fig off of a fig tree? If you have, what comes out of the end of the fig? That's the milk that it's referring to. It's white, and it's a white sap. So when it says it's a land flowing with milk and honey, it's saying you're going to have so many figs. There's going to be like milk running down your hands. It's from picking so many figs. It's not referring to bovine feeding material, which gives many of us tummy aches. But this holiday is officially sponsored by Lactaid. Lactaid, we're waiting for your call. And so we're going to step now into the space of celebrating Shabbat, and we hope that everyone will stay and enjoy Shabbat dinner together. We hope that this has been a wonderful Shavuot Seder, and that we've learned a lot, nibbled a lot, and enjoyed a lot, and tried something new. We're always open to your feedback and suggestions as we work to make it even more wonderful next year. And a huge thank you to Erica Hall Morris. Erica handled all of the logistics and putting together the actual, I come up with an idea and the team came up with the idea together. I don't want to say the team.
Oh, girl,
We
you
came up with the idea. And then they put together the actual program of this beautiful Seder. And then Erica was like, I'm sorry, what? And we're like, just make this whole gorgeous big thing happen. And Erica
knocked
just
it out of
made
the
it
park.
happen. So Erica, thank you. A huge shout out to Charlie and the band. Thank you. Michelle, this Seder that you made, this Haggadah is incredible. Thank you. Benj is our walking, talking Sefaria library who pulled all of the resources for Michelle. And your team that you put together tonight, thank you. Linda, ladies, our wonderful Jade and Maddie, and Annika is downstairs with many of our children who are having their own wonderful Shabbat, and they're having a great time. I don't know, maybe burning the building down, we'll see, hopefully not. And Victor and his team and our office staff with the reservations. So just thank you, and thank you all for making your reservations and showing up so that we had tonight together. And so all of that said, now we're going to enter into Shabbat. So I'm going to invite Michelle and Charlie to come light our Shabbat candles, because do you guys know that Charlie volunteers all of his time to do this? And he is just the most dedicated soldier. He does not get any of the recognition that he should, and it just kills me. And so Charlie, we are so thankful to you, and Michelle, to you. You guys are the dynamic duo.
Stop, you're making me blush.
Well, I'm just going to keep waxing poetic.
I see what you did there with the wax.
Yeah, see? I'm super punny tonight.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. And we're going to welcome Shabbat with our Lecha Dodi, as we welcome Shabbat as the beautiful bride that she is on page 16.
Shabbat.
Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Boi v'shalom atem bala, gam v'simcha u'v'tola. Toch emuneh al zevula, boi chala, boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. B'nei Shabbat nikabela.
Can be
And have a
seated.
seat. And as we conclude our Shabbat services this evening, if anyone ever says we lead a long Shabbat service, let this be the night when you say, no, we don't. As we conclude our Shabbat services this evening, we turn our hearts towards our loved ones who have left us recently and at this season in years past. If you are in Shiva this week, we invite you to rise and share your loved one's name with us. And actually, the festival of Shavuot ends Shiva, and it ends Shloshim. So, for all those who have been in Shiva and who have been in Shloshim, all festivals end those mourning periods. And so, if you've been in Shloshim, you move now to just Shana Rishonah. So, if you are in Shana Rishonah, we invite you to rise and share your loved ones' names.
Judy Becker, Anita Lawson.
As a congregation, we are marking the yard sites on this Shabbat for Robert Breitbard, Marion Keller Goldberg, Marie Heilber, Stephen Greenwood, Norma Winston, Lee Siegel, Albert Sablov, Libby Siegel, Morton Silverstein, Ivan Dix, Don Hicks, Francis Schwartz, Susan Bell, Valerie Putt, Florence Feingold, Kenneth Geist, Bess Rosenthal, Hirschman, Louis Weiner, Penelope Kaufman, Jean Sweeney, Arlene Zirkin, Anne Bauman-Spear, James Perkins, Leonard Letbeg, Esther Asher, Gerard Johnson, Goldie Schissel, May Tonopolsky, Isidore Heller, Carrie Rodman, Joseph Timlin, Betty Eastman. And if there are any names to be added for yard site or names to be corrected, we invite you to share them with us. If it's your custom to rise with the mourners, we invite you to do so. Our Kadisha tome is found on page 17 of our Haggadah. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divarach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'gala u'bizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mivarach le'olam lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudashah b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom mimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Hamakom yinachem etchem b'toch sha'ar avlei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God console all who are bereaved amongst our people, our homeland, and our world. And together we say,
Amen.
Zichronam livracha. May the memories of the ones that we have loved and lost continue to be a source of blessing and inspiration for us all. You can be seated.
And we will conclude our service with our Oseh Shalom, asking God for peace.
Oseh shalom bimrocha. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimrocha. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
If you already ate dinner before coming, dessert will be served at that table. But Erica was bringing everything out just as we rised and stood for Lachadodi and faced her. So it will be coming soon. If you are going to enjoy dinner, it will be served from that table. And so, are we serving people? Or they're serving themselves? Okay. Is it one-sided or two-sided? It's one-sided? Great. Okay, that'll be nice and speedy. What? No Kiddush and Lovey. Great, okay. We already did the festival Kiddush. Okay, if you want to help yourself to Kiddush, it's out in the lobby. And someone hold up a piece. We already... Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. Choose your direction.